some other stuff too.
Okay, awesome. Well, welcome to another episode of They Say. I am so honored to be here again on this special. So this is a special They Say. So there's something certain when you get a VIP on the line and they tell you yes, you stop what you're doing and you make sure there's space for them and you get it done. So I am so excited to have Kimberly here. She is somebody I have admired since 2008. So to get in front of all this greatness, we're not gonna miss this conversation. Like, this is a must conversation. I get so many people asking me, Kimberly, about corporate boards, how to move from that corporate space to the entrepreneur space, how to just excel. And you are a pillar, a trailblazer, a forerunner. So I am not gonna I'm gonna let you go forth because I know you're gonna tell us some amazing things. So please tell us about yourself.
Well, first of all, Allison, I'm just delighted to be on your show. When I saw you come out with this podcast, I was hoping that I was going to get to be a guest. So I'm really excited that I am here with you and excited even more about all of the things that you are doing. So I want to be a stakeholder and I'm all in. So let me just say that first of all. And then for your audience, I would definitely say, and I just told Allison this, I am trying to use all of the gifts that God has given to me. Yep. I have a portfolio career, which means I get to do some of this and some of that. And it basically means I am an independent board director. I am a keynote speaker. I am a technical writer. I am an adjunct professor. I am a CEO. I am a consultant. I am a fractional chief diversity officer. And I am also a volunteer leader. So I get to do a lot of cool things that really get me excited every day.
And that's why I needed you on here. Because I feel like after going to the leadership conference, I was telling you a little bit about it before we got on this last weekend in Dallas. I heard that women, African-American women, we are the fastest growing entrepreneurs and we are leaving corporate in mass numbers. And I'm like, if anybody can tell us what success looks like, because I hear all the time, oh, Allison, I want to be on a corporate board. I was like, I know the person. And she's just not on a corporate board. She's at the decision-making table. So I was like, tell us your ways. Like I'm excited for all that you are going to just bring to They Say.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, each one of my tracks definitely has different steps, but fundamentally, there are some things that I think we need to do. I'm really excited if people are leveraging entrepreneurship because I do believe that is a path forward and it creates generational wealth. Yep. And it creates generational opportunity. So always excited to hear about entrepreneurship. But even for people who are still working inside organizations, you can be an entrepreneur. Yep. And that means leveraging the energy and excitement of being an entrepreneur, but inside the organization. So we're talking about energy, we're talking about mindset for growth, and we're talking about how do you leverage your experiences in a way that will lead you down any one of these paths. Mm-hmm. So Allison, you tell me which one you want to go down and I'm there with you and I can share accordingly.
Okay, can you do like in corporate, then moving to entrepreneur? Because you've done
absolutely. So here's what I do. And I just say what I do because everyone is the architect of their own careers. You have to do what works best for you. Yes. But I can tell you the ingredients of my world famous pound cake. Okay. And then you have to go and make it your own. So one of the things I like to do is really understand what is the organization trying to accomplish? Mm-hmm. Because when you understand what the organization is trying to accomplish, the mission, purpose, values, vision, strategic plan, then you can align accordingly. Because I'm never confused about activity and results. Because doing a whole bunch of, I'm trying to do this, I'm working on that, does not necessarily mean that you're helping the company grow. And what I have found is that when I understand what that is and I connect and I produce results, then my career is moving because there are rooms that my name is being spoken in that I am not even in and was not even aware that my name was being spoken. But people want energy. They want execution. They want someone that's going to help them move the ball forward. And that's been very critical, I think, throughout my career, regardless of where I've been and where I've worked. The other thing that I do is that I like to understand expectations.
Yes.
And so I do not want it to be up for subjectivity on whether I did a good job or not. And I know that good looks different according to who you're speaking to. And I know that because when I tell my sons when they were growing up, before they went to college, clean your room, and then I would walk in and say, this wasn't what I was thinking when I said clean your room. Right. And I was like, Mom, it's fine. And I said, well, I can see the lumps in the bed. I can see you just pull the covers.
Right.
So that tells me we need to be explicit and transparent around what we expect and what we are hoping that our leaders will share with us about their expectations, because you do not want to get to the end of the year and then hear that their expectations were that you were going to do 10 of these different items and documents and you did 4 and you thought 4 was a good idea and they were thinking, we're not on the same page. So between aligning expectations and aligning with the end goal results, I've been able to really do some cool things.
No, you really have. And I think that's so important, because something else that we talked about at that conference was the lack of leadership that we see in the earth today. And for you said something so key that I think we often take advantage of is the communication and expectations. A lot of people, I think oftentimes I have been told, because I am a high producer, they're like, manage your expectations, Allison. Everybody's not producing like you. And I get that, but it's hard when you put somebody that is so driven in like that little box of managing your expectations. But I like what you said about clearly communicating your expectations to make sure you guys are in agreement. I think that is crucial. And that probably would have helped my career in a lot of places.
Well, for sure, because I mean, I've also grown up under, and thank goodness I've had such amazing leaders that I've worked with and for. And I'll tell you, we're not thinking out of the box. What if there was the box? Ignore the box and really chart your own path. And so that gives you a lot of latitude to be creative and innovative and get the job done in a way that the people before you probably didn't have the context, the technology, or the timing to do. And so when we're saying think out of the box, that assumes continuous incremental improvement. What I'm talking about in some cases, an evolutionary transformational approach.
Yes. I think, and that transcends generations. So I'm pretty confident that you're able to speak to the Gen Z, the millennial, the Gen Xer. They probably love you because just off of that little bit, that little nugget that you dropped, I'm like, she speaks the language of multi-generations, where I think that is a lack of leadership, because I know from my personal experience, it's such a tight box. And if they don't understand it, they try to suppress it. So how do you see that?
Well, you know, it's interesting because remember when I said you're getting their expectations, you're getting both ways.
Yeah.
First of all, don't work for someone or with someone that is not going to help you accelerate your growth, because what happens over time, I find, is that someone starts high energy, they're excited, they're going above and beyond, and then their hand is slapped. No. Yep. How many times will someone say no before then you're just going along to get along? You're not even trying to think beyond what you're doing and how to exceed expectations. You're just checking a box.
Yep.
And we don't want to stifle people's excitement, even as we're trying to make sure they know that there are guardrails. There is a certain way to do things. You can't just do everything any old kind of way. We have a brand, we have consistency, we have regulations that we have to adhere to. And so speaking generationally, I think we have to show appreciation for the people who have come before us.
Yes.
I've always done that. And so I've always gotten their respect because they believe, in some cases, not all, that when younger colleagues come in, they're not thinking about the history of how we got here. They're only thinking about what they see today, when we should stop. If you're a younger colleague, ask, why did we do it this way? And then based on that why, then you might be able to really get forth changes in the organization, but it's by respecting their viewpoint and respecting where they are, then you can bring everyone along on the journey.
That's good. See, that's good. This is why you're I'm gonna just tag you as the intergenerational leader. Like that's
you have to be.
That's important because I feel like millennials, Gen X, Gen Z, all of them have gotten a bad rap. But I feel like it's because there's a lack of the language is not being spoken. And we all communicate, right? But there's a language to communication. There's a language to understanding. The way you just simplified that, it was like butter.
Well, I just think I'm telling you, and I tell, my colleagues, my future bosses, that's what I call them. He spent like 5 minutes with the most seasoned person in the organization. They would learn a lot about what happened, why it happened, what are we doing, what do they personally think. And I think that once that connection is made, then people are willing to say, well, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
But let's try it. What we want at the end of the day is for people to feel respected, seen, heard, and valued. And that goes across whether you're a student or whether you're about to retire. People want to be respected, seen, valued, and heard.
Yes. So one time, and then we'll transition, but one time I had a leader tell me, and it almost killed my confidence. I'm gonna be completely transparent here. He told me, everybody loves you, I don't. And I'm going to show you why I don't love you. And I promise you, it was so hard working for him after that. It was very difficult working for him.
Why did he say that?
Because he felt like, it's been my experience, Kimberly, where leaders have gotten kind of, I don't want to say jealous, but it's if they can't confine what you're doing and you don't fit their box, and they're not used to what you're doing. So I have been on the reciprocal end of being attacked for what I do, but not understanding that it's an evolution. My personal branding is not an attack on an organization, but what we have to understand is the generations that are coming next, they're not going to connect to a big corporate conglomerate. You've got to bring it down to consumptualize so that they can understand that they're actually doing business with people and not so much, I happen to work for this corporation and I love this corporation, but I'm still a human being who has many dreams and aspirations. So being able to share that and conceptualize that to where people, the older generation, can really understand that. Does that make sense?
It does. But I would say to leaders that are as amazing as you are, part of your leadership is that you also have to connect.
Okay.
Because they're connecting to you, but you also are called to connect to them as well. And so it takes some time, because you could be one, and I'm saying you and leaders like you could be in the wrong organization. Not everyone can handle you at 100%. You got to know that, and you have to decide for the season and the reason that you're there.
Yes. What am I learning?
Get what you came for. If you came for the experience, if you came for the education, don't leave before you're ready. But just know that sometimes people may not be able to take you at full proof, and that's okay too. But also on the same notion of that, if you're a leader, a people leader in particular, you have to be able to figure out, how do I get these individuals on board? And that means listening, that means sharing, that means watching how they do what they do, and really finding opportunities to connect with them and engage, maybe in non-formal environments that would help them better understand your viewpoint and you'll understand their viewpoint. So what I'm saying is that it's a meeting in the middle.
Yes.
Because without that meeting in the middle, we're going to have people feeling disconnected.
Yep. And then when they're disconnected, they're not going to produce.
They're not going to produce. They're going to leave.
Yep.
If they can leave, they'll leave.
Yep. That's so true. See, this is true. That's all I can say. Like butter, it's so smooth. So something that I have just admired, besides there's so much to admire about you, but something that I really have admired over the years is how you've been able to get on these, not just corporate boards, like you're shaking the earth, ma'am, on these boards that you're on. US Bank, you just got on the marathon, and I'm just like, wow. So I'm having conversations with a lot of future leaders like myself, or leaders that want to get on corporate boards. So when you think about your journey to getting on a corporate board, what did that look like?
It looked like more than 30 years in the making.
Okay.
If you know, it's always like an iceberg.
Okay.
People see above the water, but they don't necessarily see under the water. And I think what happens is it's compounded learning,
Mhm.
compounded experience, amplified.
Right.
And when you are thinking about the types of knowledge, experience, and insights that boards would appreciate learning and knowing, it's about being a collaborator and
Mm.
being a collaborator to manage a P&L, being a collaborator to execute in daunting circumstances, being an operator of a goal or mission also is very critical when you're trying to give someone else guidance. Because
Mm.
if you haven't been there yourself, in many cases, it would be very challenging for you to provide the type of insight that they would need. The other point is about differentiation.
Mhm.
Why you?
Right.
So for each person who aspires to be on a board, I think they have to ask, what is it about their perspectives and experiences that would make another board or make a board want to hear? And how does that apply and relate to the strategies and initiatives that they have underway? So I think it depends on what their vocation is. Are
Mm.
they chief marketing officers?
Okay.
Are they CIOs? Are
Okay.
they innovation people? Are there CPAs? And I think they have to amplify that learning and be very visual about their success so that the boards can see and identify with whatever they're saying and doing.
So did you do any type of board readiness training before you got on got on your corporate boards?
Well, I think you're training the whole time.
Okay.
To be honest, you are always training. You're always working. And someone told me something very interesting, and I have stuck to this. Being on a board is, I would say, an adjacent accomplishment, but it is not the highlight of your career
Okay.
because they want people in general, I would say, who are accomplished, business savvy, general purpose,
Yep.
and have been there, done that with the types of leadership experiences that they're looking for. So I wouldn't say in general that they're looking for someone where being on the board would be like the pinnacle of their career, because these are very successful individuals in their own right and for the things that they've done. So it's an adjacent, I think, success factor. And so for me, I have been prepping the whole time, collaborating, leading, working in a global environment, working in accounting, working in a volunteer role where people can hear me speak all across the world,
Mhm.
working in a large enterprise software company. All of those are factors that are board readiness.
Okay.
Because if you're not collaborating, you're not working with others. How are you going to do that on a board level with, secretly I call the board directors the Avengers because everyone is so amazing in their own right and
Right.
together like unstoppable. So you've got to be able to sit at that table and hold your own. So
Mhm.
before you even get there, you had to have had these experiences. Now, I do know that board readiness training, and I did a couple of sessions, and I'm a member of NACD, and
Mhm.
I'm go to all the training I can get because I'm a commitment type person to lifelong learning.
Yes.
However, governance,
Mhm.
listening to ideas, understanding that you're in an oversight capacity, you're not the people who are doing the role. So you got to watch that green line, the bright
Right.
neon line is what they like to say. And
Right.
I would also say it's how to be disagreeable in an agreeable fashion.
Mm.
We're asked to give credible challenge, to make sure that we're thinking about an idea from every angle. And that might mean we're asking questions, and it
Yep.
might mean that we're sharing our experience of when we saw this happen at a different company or a different environment. So, how well are you at working across generations? We've got multiple people who are at different age points.
Yep.
So, all the things. Now, do I think that board readiness training can help position people and identify skill sets? Absolutely. And I would share that if people thought that they should get on them, they should, because for nothing else, you might meet someone else who's on a board or in their journey, and they may know of a board that would fit your background. And they may say, you know what, Allison, let's do a coffee chat.
Yep.
And then they tell you about a board or share your name with someone else. So the networking cannot be denied. It's awesome.
So that's good. And I appreciate your transparency in that. And what I took away from that is really hone in on those skills that you're developing throughout the years. Don't just get ready. Don't just do the board readiness, but really cultivate what you're as you grow and lead. That's what I took from it. So that's
Well,
all.
absolutely. And I know that was a long way to say it, but it's more than just tomorrow I'm going to get in a board readiness session and then I'm going to be ready for a board.
Mhm.
It's 30 years of getting ready for a board, or 40 years for some of our colleagues are getting ready for a board. And so it's almost like having a review course.
Mhm.
So when I studied for the CPA exam, I had taken all the classes, I had done the experience. When I then needed to pass the exam, I needed a review course to help me focus on the areas that might be more meaningful.
Mhm.
That's what I think a board readiness class
Okay.
is like. It's
Okay.
not to supplant the
Mhm.
years of experience that you should have had up to that point.
Right.
It's really to help you identify core strengths and to be able to speak fluently to them, and also put your board bio together and share some of the insights that you might should be ready to share inside the boardroom.
That's good. That's good. That's good. So when I think about your career, just that's something we can't leave here without speaking on, because the fact that you're a CPA and the fact that you work for Oracle and the fact that you just it's like you say, it's like a tree, it's like a Christmas tree. It just keeps getting better as you go to the top. So kind of tell us about that, Kimberly, because you really have had some very impactful roles and been at some dynamic organizations and led some really global movement. So tell us more about it.
It is so incredible to me. I was so nerdy. Oh my goodness. So this is the success is the revenge of the nerds, I guess. I was so nerdy. My glasses were terrible back then. The glasses that we have today is so amazing because people wear glasses that don't even need glasses.
Yeah.
And back when I was wearing them, you could tell I needed them. I probably couldn't see a lick before I got LASIK eye surgery. But I will tell you, this little boy said my glasses were so thick I could see the future. So that ought to give you some indication on how, like, in the book, studying, nerdy. And I wanted to be a CPA.
Yeah.
I grew up in the inner city of Baltimore. And the highlight of our week was that we would go to Burger King with my mom, and when she would go grocery shopping, so we would go to Burger King, and it was like the thing. And all of us was, my sisters and I were trying to always be the one that would get to go grocery shopping because we get to pick the cereal, and then we get to go to Burger King.
Right.
So I just promised myself that I would really do what my parents said, and that was leverage education. They said, Kimberly, no one can take it from you.
Yes.
They said, you're going to have to work twice as hard to get half the credit. You're Black and you're a woman, so get ready for that. And I think I just took all of that learning and that growing up in the inner city so seriously that I just went to school, heads down, graduated valedictorian.
Oh, wow.
I decided in the third grade that I was going to be a CPA. And although I majored in information systems,
Yeah.
I still came back after my MBA and became a CPA. And so that definitely a game changer. Technology, definitely a game changer. And I love that I'm able to put them together in a meaningful way because I know that those two things are differentiators.
That's powerful. That's powerful. And I remember recently when you got on the oil marathons board, you put the dedication up to your mother, and that touched my heart. That was so beautiful. And
Yeah.
I know she's looking down, and she's so proud of you because we are proud of you. You represent the impossible for me, and you make me see that it's possible. So I am just so honored.
Oh, you gonna make me cry. Yes.
You make myself cry because I just think about meeting you in 2008 and me running up there and Vignette's like, you got to know her. And I was like, man, but like I told you before you got on, between you, her, and Rashida, like you ladies have really shown us African-American women what excellence looks like and consistent excellence. You know what I'm saying? And you guys don't mind coming back to help us out. So I thank you for that. I thank you. And I've thanked Vignette, and I've definitely had to get Rashida so I can thank her more and more. But I'm appreciative of this. And I know a lot of people will benefit from just the conversations and just you're so relatable. And I appreciate that. You don't
Wow.
make me far off or mystical.
Well, let me tell you, if I'm doing it, I know people say that, but whatever I'm doing, I know you can do. You already have a plan. You're amazing. You're doing so many things and you're doing it earlier. So that means we expect a lot more of you. And so I just take it to heart. To whom much is given, much is required. And I'm sure the leaders that you speak with think that as well. I have met so many generous people, so many people who are generous with their time, their talent, their treasure. They're always willing to serve as mentors. They're definitely in their community, serving on nonprofit boards, writing big checks.
Yep.
They care. They
Yes.
really, really care. And so
Yes.
I'm delighted to be among people like that.
Yes.
Because steel sharpens steel or iron sharpens iron. And I think it's important for us to find people who have like energy
Yes.
and are willing to help us grow and accelerate even more.
And I think that's so important. I definitely think that's so important. So as we kind of get to an end, what are you working on right now? Because you're working on so many things. So tell us, like, if we want to call on Kimberly, what can we call on you for?
So that's a good question. So in the public speaking world,
Okay.
I am working on, and I'm a part of the National Speakers Association, because I do believe that when something is serious enough that you're working on it, you should affiliate with the industry organization that is for that organization. So in all of my credentials, I am a member of the related organizations because I'm always learning and I'm always dreaming about what I'm going to do next. And so I'm working on my public speaking from the most amazing speakers. I'm a part of a spring 2024 mastermind right now with the Black National Speakers Association, which is a subset of the NSA.
Yeah.
So I'm working on that.
Okay.
I just finished the Oxford AICPA joint collaboration on ESG. Well, that certificate.
Okay.
I just signed up for NACD's director certificate because I'm also working on that. I am doing Diligence ESG certificate because I think it's important to double down and really learn more about sustainability. And I am all in because I've gotten a couple other things that I'm doing there as well.
Okay.
I'm writing a book.
Okay, I was about to ask, when's the book coming?
I'm writing a book.
Okay.
And so I speak about leadership, motivation, transformation, innovation, technology, and also inclusion, and how to cultivate inclusion and get people to really be the best version of themselves. And I write, so I get to do a lot of different things, but those are just a few of the things that when I wake up every day, put my feet on the ground, I'm like, thank you, God, I'm awake.
Yes.
And I go about my day trying to be not just blessed, but a blessing for other people.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. And I thank you for being a blessing. So my question, I always end they say, but I think you've already kind of answered it, but we'll try it again. I always end they say is what kind of, when I think of they say, so why I titled my podcast They Say, it's really to overcome opposition. Anybody that said something negative or said you couldn't do something. So you are like the epitome of, I know that you've exceeded in so many areas. Have you ever experienced a they say moment where someone was like, oh, you're not gonna be able to do that? Or what?
It is interesting. I'm sure I have, but because I think of myself as Teflon, what people say or do that's negative about me does not penetrate into my shell. And I don't allow negativity into my energy because that's just not, conducive. But I would say, as a Black female from the inner city of Baltimore, where I was the first person in my family to go to college, that I have no doubt that there are people who would say, wow, is it even possible that this young lady could even get out of that environment, let alone to become the chairman of the world's largest accountancy body? And so they would say that it would be impossible. And I would say that improbable doesn't mean impossible.
Mic drop. Mic drop. Kimberly, I thank you. I thank you for this. I knew it was going to be a quick fireside. I love it. I thank you. I thank you for taking this time. And how do we find you?
Oh my gosh, I hope I'm so visible that you see me everywhere. But you can find me on LinkedIn. I am on Instagram. You can find me on my website, which is at ketsolutions.com, or on LinkedIn, like I said, at Kimberly Ellison-Taylor.
Awesome. Well, this has been our fireside chat of They Say with Miss Kimberly Ellison-Taylor, which I am honored she said yes to me. And I will see you guys next Wednesday. Thank you so much, Miss Kim.
Take care.